Trump's legacy. Love him or hate him. Love him or hate him, Donald Trump's legacy is one of the most controversial in modern history. From groundbreaking policies to heated controversies, his presidency sparked passionate debates that still echo today. So what exactly is Trump's legacy? Tonight, we're diving deep into the policies, the controversies, and the impact of the 45th President of the United States. Let's get started. 1. Economic achievements. First, let's talk about the economy, a cornerstone of Trump's legacy that his supporters proudly highlight. During his first 3 years in office, the U.S. saw economic growth. Unemployment hit record lows across many demographics, and industries like manufacturing experienced a revival. His tax cuts, particularly the 2017 Tax Cuts and Jobs Act, were seen as a win for corporations and many middle-class Americans. The stock market, it boomed. Supporters argue this was due to Trump's deregulation policies, which reduced restrictions on businesses and spurred investment. But critics would say those tax cuts heavily favored the wealthy and corporations, leaving behind middle and lower-income Americans. And while the economy was thriving, the national debt grew by almost $8 trillion during his tenure.
The highest in more than 30 years. The real wages of African American workers are down by over 6%, a short period of time. The real incomes from Hispanic men are down 6.6% or $3,600 per year. And on top of that, African Americans and Hispanic American jobs are under massive threat from the invasion taking place at our border. They're taking the jobs of Hispanic Americans, African Americans, and nobody talks about it. But I won't let it happen. Yet after presiding over the border, the worst in history for any country, there's never been a border like this. 21 million people, we project. This total economic catastrophe, the border czar, Kamala Harris, has now been slotted in by the Democrats to be reelected. She wants 4 more years to enforce a radical left agenda that poses a fundamental threat to the prosperity of every American family and America itself. And we're talking about America itself. She wants to defund the police, have totally open borders, ban fracking in Pennsylvania and everywhere else, take away your private health insurance, and perhaps most pertinent to the very brilliant people in this room, raise your business and corporate taxes, and unbelievably, she will seek a tax on unrealized capital gains. Most people don't even know what that means. What does it mean?
2. America First foreign policy. Next, foreign policy. Trump's America First doctrine aimed to reshape the U.S.'s role on the world stage. His renegotiation of trade deals, like replacing NAFTA with the USMCA, was praised for protecting American jobs. He took a hardline stance on China, introducing tariffs to combat what he called unfair trade practices. And who can forget his historic meetings with North Korean leader Kim Jong-un? While the meetings didn't lead to denuclearization, they were unprecedented. On the flip side, Trump's withdrawal from the Paris Climate Agreement and the Iran nuclear deal drew criticism from allies and environmentalists. Many argue these moves weakened U.S. global leadership.
Trump has just walked across the demarcation line that made him the first U.S. president to visit our country.
I just want to say that this is my honor. I didn't really expect it. We were in Japan for the G20. We came over and I said, hey, I'm over here. I want to call Chairman Kim. And we got to meet, and stepping across that line was a great honor. A lot of progress has been made. A lot of friendships have been made, and this has been in particular a great friendship. So
3. Domestic policies and Supreme Court impact. On the domestic front, Trump's biggest legacy might be his appointments to the Supreme Court. With 3 justices, Neil Gorsuch, Brett Kavanaugh, and Amy Coney Barrett, he fundamentally shifted the court's balance to a conservative majority. This has already had major implications for issues like abortion, gun rights, and religious freedom. Immigration, that was another key focus. Trump's administration took a hard stance with policies like the travel ban, targeting Muslim-majority countries, and the controversial family separation policy at the border. Supporters argue these moves were necessary to secure the border and protect American jobs. Critics, however, called them inhumane and discriminatory.
Immediately repealing and replacing Obamacare. I would build a great wall, and nobody builds walls better than me, believe me.
Donald J. Trump is calling for a total and complete shutdown of Muslims entering the United States.
Or controversies and cultural impact. Of course, no discussion about Trump's legacy is complete without addressing the controversies. Trump's presidency was marked by divisive rhetoric that often fueled cultural and political polarization. From calling the press fake news to his role in the January 6 Capitol riots, Trump's critics argue that he undermined democratic norms and institutions. His baseless claims of election fraud after losing the 2020 election are cited as a direct attack on the integrity of U.S. democracy. But let's flip the coin. To his supporters, Trump was a disruptor, someone who stood up to the establishment and gave a voice to Americans who felt ignored by traditional politicians. His rallies energized millions, and his social media presence was, well, unforgettable. And speaking of social media, his permanent ban from Twitter and other platforms after January 6th raised questions about free speech and the role of tech companies in moderating content.
The presidency is the single most powerful teaching platform in the country. And we are all the president's students. And the president has given us a 4-year course in bullying and abusive behavior. I think he's done terrible things to our culture.
Donald Trump's had an extremely polarizing impact on the American media and on American society. And one of the things that leaders like him do is create this alternate point of view, this fictional reality. Leaders like Donald Trump require us to be at each other's throats. They require society to be divided and fearful, because over and over again since the fascist years, this is the kind of emotional and psychological atmosphere in which they thrive.
5. Post-presidency and long-term impact. Even after leaving office, Trump's influence remains undeniable. He's still a central figure in the Republican Party, and his endorsements play a major role in shaping GOP primaries. But his legacy isn't just political, it's cultural. Trump reshaped how Americans view the media, leadership, and even truth itself. He shattered norms, and whether you see that as positive or negative depends largely on where you stand. Ultimately, Trump's presidency has left America deeply divided, with debates over his legacy likely to persist for decades. So love him or hate him, Donald Trump's legacy is one of disruption, transformation, and polarization. He left his mark on the economy, the courts, foreign policy, and the nation's cultural fabric. What do you think about Trump's legacy? Was he a champion for the forgotten or a divisive force in American history? Let us know in the comments below. Thanks for watching, and don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more deep dives into today's most pressing topics. See you next time.
Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, welcome everyone to this evening's lecture, as you know, on the long-term impact of Donald Trump on American democracy.
Thank you very much. Wow. Well, I want to thank you all very much. This is great. These are our friends. We have thousands of friends in this incredible movement. This was a movement like nobody's ever seen before. And frankly, this was, I believe, the greatest political movement of all time. There's never been anything like this in this country, and maybe beyond. And now it's going to reach a new level of importance because we're going to help our country heal. We're going to help our country heal.